Hi, this is David Swanson, Executive Director at WorldBeyondWar.org and fan and appreciator of Pressenza, recording this message for Pressenza's international meeting. There is nothing that is more of a hurdle for those advocating for public policy changes for the better than major corporate media. Any room I speak to, I'm not speaking to sensible people. I'm speaking to people who have been manipulated by their televisions and their newspapers into habitually accepting outrageous things that it takes a great deal of effort and conditioning to get them to think. And we are up against that. And so we need the incredibly important work of organizations like Pressenza that do honest journalism and do it with a perspective interested in not just peace and not just human rights, but in public participation, in policymaking and in governance, and do it globally, do it without a nationalistic perspective. This is, incredibly valuable, and Pressenza is getting better and better at it. We obviously need vastly more. I would love to see Pressenza with more investigative reporting, with simply more material coming out on more topics, and not just writing, although writing's my favorite, but also more video and more audio and more graphic design, because this is what it takes to reach people, and potentially also with a discussion forum or social media project attached to it. People need not just to be able to learn things, but to discuss them. Perhaps even as Progressive Hub has done, with an activist component, so that every news item has a take action item online or otherwise attached to it. I think advocacy organizations need to be supporting independent media, while leaving it independent of any editorial control by any other organizations. I think independent media needs to be supporting, as Pressenza does, the work of NGOs and of popular movements for bettering the world, by covering what they do. It's as simple as that. And by showing how they do it. When activist movements make it into corporate media at all, it is as sort of after the fact, show some victims, show some angry people, but never tell people how to participate, never advocate actual small d democratic participation, never tell people when a vote is going to happen so that they can urge voting one way or the other, but only tell them after the fact what's been done. Never tell people the work that went in to building a rally and building a protest and building a petition and an advocacy movement and lobbying a government to take action on behalf of people without the money to buy it. You would think, in a society that crows about democracy and rules-based order, you would have some media coverage of how things are done, how the world is changed for the better. That's what we need. And I think there's a possibility for good independent media outlets like Pressenza coming into the sort of funding that could make all of these bigger dreams happen, because the electoral system is breaking down so disastrously. In the United States, where I live, there simply are no candidates worth tolerating at the national level for president. They've done away with primary elections. They've pretty well done away with anything other than choosing between catastrophe number one and disaster number two. And so there's a chance that some sensible people won't dump millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars into electing one sociopath instead of another, but will search out other places to put that money. You have these hundreds of people who campaigned for Joe Biden signing a letter that he should stop some of these wars. Well, they could have worked for the peace movement, and next time they could work for the peace movement, or they could work for independent media that makes peace acceptable rather than treasonous, rather than the work of some evil foreign dictator. And I have some hope. It's a silver lining sort of hope. It's a hope out of a catastrophe, but there is a chance that the resources may become available, and I imagine Pressenza knows as well as anyone how to get them to build the sort of honest media that can really challenge the corporate indoctrination. I certainly hope so. I wish you the best. I thank you for everything you've done so far.